Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to grade 9. Today in this lesson we are going to start lesson number 34, and in which we are going to discuss about our new unit, that is unit number 14, ratio and proportion. So in this unit, again in your smart syllabus, as only review exercise 14 is given, so you need to do only review exercise 14. But before starting review exercise 14, we need to have some concepts, and we are going to discuss those concepts in today's lesson. So we are going to discuss about ratio and proportion and the terminologies which are related to ratio and proportion. So by the end of this lesson, you will be able to define ratio, proportion, congruent triangles and similar triangles. So first of all, ratio and proportion. As we have learned in our previous classes that a ratio is a comparison of two values expressed as a quotient. For example, a class has 12 girls and 18 boys. The ratio of girls to boys is 12 ratio 18. It's 12 ratio 18. This ratio can also be expressed as an equivalent fraction 2 by 3. So if I divide 12 by 18, both have a common factor of 6. So it means 6 2 times is 12 and 6 3 times is 13. So in this way, I have expressed my ratio in my simplest form. So I can say that 2 by 3 is equivalent fraction of 12 by 18. Also, a ratio has no unit. Okay. Now talking about our proportion, it is an equation stating that two ratios are equal. For example, 12 by 18 is equal to 2 by 3, and it is also represented by, for example, 2 by 3 is equal to 4 by 6, or I can also write this as 2 ratio 3 proportion 4 ratio 6, in which 2 and 6, these are your extreme values, okay, and 3 and 4, these are your mean values, okay. So this is known as proportion. Now coming on the similar triangles, concept of similar triangles, that having same shape but not necessarily in the same size. It means if two figures are given, for example, as you can see in the picture, two triangles are given having the same size, same shape as both of these two are triangle, but when we talk about the size of similar figures, they are not equal. Okay. But in the case of angles, corresponding angles should be equal and corresponding sides are in the same ratio. That is A by B. We are taking the corresponding side. Okay. A by P is equal to Q by B by Q and C by R. In taking the ratios in similar triangles, the sequence is very much important. For example, if I am taking all the sides of my first triangle in the numerator, then it is necessary then when I define a new ratio for the second one, in that ratio, there must be a side of your first triangle in the numerator, not in the denominator. What I want to tell you that A by P is not equal to Q by B. It should be equal to B by Q. Similarly, it should be equal to C by R, not equal to R by C. Okay, so these are the three things that are included in the definition of similar triangles. Now talking about the congruent triangles, if I talk about congruent triangles, ABC and DEF, they are congruent because their corresponding sides are equal. Corresponding sides by which AB is congruent to DE, BC is congruent to EF, and AC is congruent to DF. It is also represented by single bar, double bar, and triple bar. Okay, so the sides which are congruent to each other are represented by the same number of bars. So these triangles are said to be congruent triangles, as we have discussed in chapter number 10 also. So these are the postulates of your triangle. For example, in the first case, if all the three sides are equal in corresponding of two triangles, then it means it is a SSS postulate. SSS means side, side, side. Okay. Now coming on the second one, for example, in correspondence of two triangles, if two sides and one angle are equal, it means they are satisfying the SAS postulate, that is side angle side postulate. Now the third one, in the correspondence of these two triangles, if the two angles and one side included means the side should be included in between these two angles. Okay. So if two angles and one side are equal, then it means they are satisfying ASA postulate. And the third one is RHS, means H as hypotenuse and side means in correspondence of two right angle triangles. If hypotenuse, definitely in correspondence of two right angle triangles, if hypotenuse are equal and one of the side of these triangles are equal, it means they are satisfying our RHS postulate. It is also defined as HS postulate. That is given in your theorem 10.4. Okay. Okay. Now moving on. So this is your unit number 14, ratio and proportion, and we have discussed almost all the terminologies that are given in your unit. Ratio, again we have defined it, and proportion, then similar triangle, all the concepts are same that we have discussed. And again they have explained all the things on your page number 229. And here the concept of congruency has been explained. Okay, remember that this one is the symbol of your similarity, that for example if two triangles are similar, then it must be expressed by this symbol. Okay, now coming on the statements of your theorem, as I have told you that we are going to discuss the review exercise. Before starting review exercise, you must have concepts, you must understand the concepts of these theorems. Okay, you don't need to prove these theorems, you just need to focus about the statements of these theorems. So the first statement is a line parallel to one side of a triangle and intersecting the other two sides divides them proportionally. Now two conditions are given for a line. Two conditions are given for a line. For example, this is your triangle A, B, and C. He is saying that if a line is parallel to the third side and intersecting the other two sides, means for example, if I construct a line here, say this line is small l, the name of this line is L, and it is intersecting at point E and D. So he is saying that if this line is parallel to the third side, means ED is a point, is a line segment which is parallel to your third side, that is BC. If it is parallel, then it must divide your triangle in a ratio. Now what does it mean? It means that AD ratio DC, proportion, AE, ratio, EB. This has been explained in your theorem number 1 that if a line is parallel to the third side and intersecting the other two sides, it must divide your triangle in a proportion. Okay, so this is the symbol of proportion, this one. Here it is a ratio. These are two ratios. Again, they are the other two ratios and they are proportion, means they are equal. Okay, coming on few important points, that 2 points determine line and 3 non-collinear points determine a plane. A line segment has exactly one midpoint. If two intersecting lines form equal adjacent angles, the lines are perpendicular. So these are the important points which can appear in your MCQs. Okay. So now talking about the next one, this has been discussed in your first theorem, that if a line segment intersects the two sides of a triangle in the same ratio, then it must be parallel to the third side. Means, as I have explained, that this is the line segment, it is parallel to your third side and it is parallel. If you look at back in your first theorem, it was given that these two lines are parallel, then it divides them proportionally. Now he is saying if it is parallel to the third side, then if it divides, it is intersecting the two sides of a triangle in the same ratio, then it is must be parallel to the third side. So these are the two same things in the first theorem and in the second theorem, as they are converse of each other. Okay, now we can solve with the help of our first theorem. Question number 1, part 1. If in this triangle ABC, if AD is 1.5 centimeter, BD is 3 centimeter, AE is 1.3 centimeter, then find CE. So, first of all, we need to draw this figure. This one is the figure with these vertices A, B, and C. A line is parallel to the third side, and this line segment is actually DE. This is a line segment. Okay. It is given that AD is 1.5 centimeter, BD is 3 centimeter, AE is 1.3 centimeter, find CE. So first of all, using the concept of first theorem, I will write the equation for this triangle. Means if a line is parallel to the third side and intersecting the other two sides, it divides the triangle in a proportion. Means AE ratio EC proportion AD ratio DB. Okay, or I can also write it as AE divided by EC is equals to AD divided by DB. Now, what I am going to put the values of AE. AE is 1.3. As EC is unknown, so we can say that this is unknown, it is X. Okay, you need to find this value X is equals to AD is 1.5 and DB is 3. So you need to solve this equation for X. So for X, I am going to arrange my equation 1.5 by 3. Okay, I need to multiply 3 with 1.3 and X with 1.5. So you can write it as X multiplied by 1.5 is equal to 1.3 multiplied by 3, and x should be equal to 1.3 multiplied by 3 divided by 1.5. So using your calculator, if you will solve these values, 1.3 multiplied by 3 will give you 3.9 by 1.5. So the answer would be 2.6 centimeter. It means the unknown ratio is 2.6 centimeter. So in this way, you will find your unknown ratio. Now moving on, the next statement, the internal bisector of an angle of a triangle divides the side opposite to it in the ratio of the length of the sides containing the angle. Means, for example, in this triangle ABC, this one is the internal bisector of angle A, which is intersecting at point D on your side BC. Okay, so he is saying that if an internal bisector divides the side opposite to it, it should be in the ratio of the length containing the side, means BD ratio DC. Here it is written BD ratio DC should be equals to the sides containing the angle. Which of these two sides containing the angle? The first one is AB and the second one is AC. So this one is also the statement, this one is also the equation you can derive from this theorem. Okay. So we have discussed all the important statements that you need for solving your review exercise 14. So this is your review exercise 14. You need to do question number 2 and the last one, question number 6 in your homework. In isosceles triangle PQR, isosceles triangle means in which two sides are equal. Okay, find the value of x and y. So this one is a very easy question. You need to solve it in your homework. It is also given in your slides. Okay, this is your homework. You need to do this question 2 and question number 6 on your need notebook. So this is all about your today's lesson. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.